All right, everybody, it's Clear Vision Wednesday time with your host, Claudia Mühlenweg. That's me. I'm the creator of the Natural Clear Vision Method, and I'm here every week to bring you information about natural vision improvement, how you can help get rid of glasses, how you can help your eyes. Sometimes that means helping your overall health. And this month's topic, we're in December of 2022. Our topic this month is dry eyes, which has become really an epidemic. A lot of people suffer from dry eye syndrome, maybe just dry eyes, where it feels a little like itchy or dry. Dry eye syndrome is more severe. And today I have a very special guest, and I'm going to bring her on stage right now. Let me bring her on. Hi, welcome, Divya.
Hi, thank you so much, Claudia, for having me today.
Yeah, I'm super excited about you because you have not just dry eyes, but you actually were diagnosed with a autoimmune condition called, and I always butcher this up, Sjogren's.
Sjogren, yes.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about how did you, tell us a little bit of how did you find out about this and why have you made it your mission to help others overcome this condition, but also, you know, dry eyes, which is something associated with this condition. So even if you don't have Sjogren's, what you learned today is going to help you with your dry eyes.
Yeah, thank you so much. So my story of getting this disorder really starts when I was a child. I used to have a lot of digestive issues going on, eating disorders also, constipation all the time, a lot of headaches, which I never got any answers to. And all doctors used to give me was like just pills after pills after pills. And, you know, I still never got an answer up until, you know, when I got Sjogren's. So before that, I just went on. And I think in 2011, I started having very dry eyes, which were like dry to the point where I used to get like ulcers in the eye. And it used to feel like a sandpaper feeling. It was very, very dry and itchy and painful. But again, because there were no other symptoms with it, doctors just shrugged it off and they were like, we don't know what it is. It could be autoimmune, it could be cancer, it could be anything, we don't know yet. It could be an infection. And, you know, that was it. I didn't get any answers for that. But then 2 years after that, I had a full-blown flare-up of Sjogren syndrome where I had very bad puffy eyes, dry mouth, a lot of joint pains, muscle aches, stiffness all over the body. I mean, to the point that even if I, you know, we used to breathe, I could feel the heaviness on my chest. So it was that stiff. And that's when, after running around for about 4 or 5 doctors, I got finally the answer that I have Sjogren's syndrome. And so Sjogren's syndrome is an autoimmune disorder in which, and I know many people might not know it. So is it okay if I explain it?
Yeah, of course. Yes.
Okay. So Sjogren's syndrome is an systemic autoimmune disorder in which, if you do not get the treatment right in the beginning, then it can affect all the body organs. And the primary symptoms that it has is dry eyes, dry mouth, dry nose, along with other symptoms which can overlap from other autoimmune disorders like Hashimoto's, like fibromyalgia, lupus, and many other health conditions can overlap with it. But the primary symptoms are dry eyes, dry mouth, and that is how it is diagnosed.
Okay, so I'm always curious. So what did the doctors, once you were diagnosed, right now you knew like you weren't just crazy, or, you know, sometimes doctors are dismissive, or like just deal with it, or it's not a big deal. But what was the official treatment that you got from the doctors? And did you ever follow that, or did you come up with your own solution?
Yeah, so I did come up with my own solutions, obviously, because I did not want to go that route. And they were putting me on a very common medication, which is called hydroxychloroquine. It is a very mild antiviral and kind of like an immunosuppressant, but very mild. But it has long-term health effects in which, if you keep taking it continuously for 6 or 7 years, you can get eye toxicity. So eyes can be affected. So on one hand,
I'm just curious, in which way can the eyes be affected if you take this medication? What can happen?
It causes toxicity in the eyes, so it can cause partial blindness.
Wow, that is a serious side effect.
It is a serious side effect, yes, but it is not projected as a serious side effect. And I did not want that for myself. So I definitely did create my own plan. I did a lot of lifestyle changes. I did mind-body practices, nutrition, everything together. And I was able to get off that medication within 1 year and also get into remission. And I have been there for 9 years now. Like I'm in remission now.
That is awesome. So share with us a little bit, because this is obviously what, our viewers here are most interested in. And if you're obviously the expert in that, but the dry eyes. So what do you do to treat the dry eyes specifically? Or is there something that you do specifically for the eyes, or is it everything kind of systemic that you do in terms of your treatment?
Yeah. So, I mean, there has to be a local treatment like for the symptom for sure. But then it is also very important to understand that the symptom is coming from a root cause. And the root cause is most often than not, it's the gut health. And if we do not take care of that, and if we do not take care of the inflammation that is coming as a result of the gut health, then you might be able to get some relief from the dry eye, like temporarily with the measures that I'm going to, I'll be telling you, but then it will not be permanent. It is not long lasting. It's only something that you'll be like, whatever I do, it doesn't go away. And that's because the root cause also has to be taken into consideration and also be treated, if I can say that.
So I love that. I love that differentiation between like the local apply, like something we do directly to the eyes compared to the systemic, holistic approach. And so maybe we can split this into like two buckets. Let's share a little bit about the local treatments that you recommend or that you do. And then also like what you also have to do in addition to get those long lasting results that you now have, where you have 9 years of not having the dry eyes anymore, which is, for you, especially with your condition, that's even more challenging than, just dry eyes, so to speak.
Yeah, absolutely. So for local relief, like for just the eyes, I love using coconut oil, extra virgin coconut oil with some few drops of oils which are anti-inflammatory and healing. So I, switch between lavender and helichrysum, and but just a drop or two of these essential oils, and always remember to. So this is one thing I always tell my clients also, not to just go to the grocery store and buy any brand of oil that you get, because here's the thing, by law, only 20% of this oil has to be from the plant. So even if the rest 80% is derived from some other synthetic, product, it will still say pure. So on the label, it will still say pure. So you have to be very careful about what kind of oil you use. I personally use doTERRA, and I also recommend it because they do go through a 8-stage testing process, of course. And so these are the oils that I like using. They're highly anti-inflammatory, is lavender. And the helichrysum is very repairing. So it repairs the cells at the cellular level. And that helps to get rid of the dryness. But then again, it is temporary. And so we have to take care that we also address the gut health. We also address the inflammation. And a lot of this also comes from stress. So address the stress, the emotions, the unprocessed emotions, all of these together. Actually, because we as human beings are not just this physical body that we are also an energy body around us, a spiritual body, emotional body. All of that takes a huge toll on our entire being. So it's very important to take care of that too.
Yeah, that makes total sense. So just to backtrack one more time. So make sure you have those, watch really for the oils the aromatherapy oils, and then organic pure coconut oil. But how do you just dab that around the eyes? Do you put that in the eyes? Like, what do you actually do?
Yeah, never put anything inside the eyes. Sorry, my fault. I did not explain, but it's a good question. So you only take a little bit on your fingers and then apply it around the eyes, and make sure it doesn't go inside the eyes, because your eyes will start watering. It won't cause any harm. It's just an inconvenient. And also it's important to remember that when you put the oil around your eyes, that is absorbed by the eye, by the skin, and it goes inside the eye. So for a few minutes, you might feel that your vision is getting blurry. So don't worry about it. It will get better.
Okay, what about castor oil? I also love castor oil for these masks. And like you said, I always recommend doing these in the evening, because yes, a little bit can go in there and it can definitely get a little blurry, which is not horrible. It's just that when you get the oils in there, what are your thoughts on castor oil?
Castor oil is also very, very purifying. So it is used by many health practitioners for like liver cleansing. So they apply it on the liver and do the castor oil packs. And so castor oil, in fact, is used traditionally in India for, for the eyelashes. If you want nice, thick, big eyelashes, castor oil is something that you can apply on the eyelashes, but of course not too much. If it goes into the eye, it can make you water. But traditionally it is used, so it is cleansing. So you can use castor oil, but again, use organic, use a cold pressed one, use one that is hexane free, because these days everything has chemicals in it, and that will be counterproductive for your eye health.
Okay, so that is your number one tip in terms of local treatment to the eyes, right? The coconut oil or castor oil with the essential oil, the lavender. I forgot the other one. I can never remember. Helichrysum. Okay.
Helichrysum.
So what else do you like? So let's talk a little bit more about the holistic approaches that you recommend. And I always love it when, my guests, like, you educate, but then also like, what are some takeaway tips? Like, what are some things that are easy where you listen to this and this is something I can start implementing right away. So let's dive a little bit into the education. You talked about gut health, right? You talked about inflammation. So where can people start, or what's the best piece to start if you're like dry eyes and you're like struggling, you've been using eye drops? It's another topic I want to ask you about. A lot of my clients take eye drops, which is not really addressing the actual root cause. Right. It makes them more dependent. But how do you get started with your treatment?
So if you are having dry eyes and you also have other symptoms with it, dry eyes can happen for a couple of reasons. And I'm sure you also know that because you are someone who works with eyes. So eyes, it can happen because of extended use of digital devices. So of course, that is one reason. Age and hormones can play another reason, especially with women. As we grow older, our estrogen levels go down, progesterone levels go down. So all that also takes a toll on the body. So in terms of nutrition, the very important thing to remember is that healthy fat is very, very important for our bodies. So whatever your age is, all our glands are made up of healthy fat. So the whole paradigm that was developed and propagated in the 70s, I think, when I was growing up, that fat is bad for you, and don't eat butter and eat, that vegetable butter, the replacement, that actually does more harm to the body than good, because all our glands in the body, every single gland needs healthy fat to produce the hormones it does. And when we give our body what it needs, it'll come back into balance. So that is the very first thing I would say, do that. And then
which fats, can you specify some of those healthy fats that you recommend?
Yeah, absolutely. Like butter, but butter is a very good fat. Avocado oil is also good. Avocado itself is very good. And then extra virgin coconut oil is very good for cooking. Olive oil is filled with polyphenols, and it is very good, and it is a gut loving oil, which even the bugs inside our stomach love. So it's not just the glands, right? So when we take healthy fat, it also feeds the good microbes in our body. And that is so important to have the balanced health for all the glands. So, because in the eyes, we have two glands, in the mouth, we have another gland. And those are the two things that start getting dry when we have dry eyes, dry mouth, and Sjogren's.
Okay, what about like flaxseed oil and some of the nuts, like nuts and seeds? Are there any that you recommend, and any that people should stay away from? You mentioned the vegetable oil.
Canola oil.
Yeah.
Oil, vegetable oil, stay away from it. It is industrial oil. It is not fit for human consumption. Even the plant from which the canola oil comes from, which is the rapeseed, is a GMO plant. It's not even a plant that used to be existing some few years ago. So canola oil, I don't even like the smell, when I cook in it, I don't like the smell. So stay away from it. Stay away from all vegetable oils that you get in the grocery stores. For cooking, avocado oil is very good. As I said, coconut oil is very good. Flaxseed oil, you cannot heat. So
Right.
although flaxseed oil is good, but you cannot heat it. So if you're just drizzling it on your salads, that's great. Same with olive oil. And for cooking, use ghee, butter, or coconut oil, or avocado oil.
Okay, great. So the healthy fats. Okay, so make sure that you get enough healthy fats. Do you have an amount recommendation, or is it just kind of figuring out what works for you? Because you talked about gut health too. And when I went through my health journey, I discovered that I couldn't digest fats properly. So I was eating all these healthy fats, all these omega-3 fatty acids and all that stuff. And my numbers in the lab test were still really low in the omega-3s. So I'm like, how can that be? I'm eating so many. And I realized I had to take enzymes to help my fat digestion.
That was going to be my next.
Okay, go ahead. Okay.
That was so gut health is, so here's the thing, when our gut health is compromised, we get inflammation, but then also what happens is that our gut is not working properly, and we do not have the enzymes because the gut is distressed, right? So that it is not producing all the enzymes. And remember, pancreas is also a part of the gut system. When we say gut, it is a colloquial term that we use for the entire digestive system, which means from the mouth to the anus, the entire system, and every gland in its way and every organ in its way is a part of the gut. So we do not have good amount of enzymes that can digest the food. And when the food is not digested, the nutrients are not absorbed. And when the nutrients are not absorbed in our bodies, we will have the deficiencies. So taking good quality digestive enzymes is really, really important to improve your gut health as well. I mean, these two things itself are very helpful, like taking a good quality probiotic and taking a good quality digestive enzyme itself will start help to heal the gut.
Right. I mean, obviously, when I first started this, I didn't know I had any issues, right? So I ended up working with a health coach. And you are a health coach who helps people, especially with Sjogren's syndrome, because that's your specialty. And we do have a question. I know usually we don't do questions this early, but I figured maybe this is helpful, or maybe it's more a statement. On YouTube, I have Sjogren's syndrome, forget about how I pronounce it, since my late teens. So it has been around for over 3 decades. And the condition still worsens with my eyesight due to dryness. So do you have anything else that you do when you work with people in your programs or in your private coaching? What other things? We talked about gut health. We talked about healthy fats. We talked about, the oils around the eyes. Anything else that you do when you work with somebody to help them?
Absolutely. So the coaching program that I have is a mind, body, and spirit approach program, because as I said, we are not just this physical body. We also have a spiritual body. We also have a energetic, emotional body. And so we need to address all of that, because, emotions, when we do not address them properly and we do not process them in our lives properly, then that gets trapped in the fascia somewhere in the body, and it shows up as a pain. In fact, if you look up Louise Hayes, she has a whole list of health issues that are associated with different physical pains. So, because the eyes are also related to the Agna chakra, which is here, which is the energy center, also called the third eye chakra. It is also related to not being able to see or have a vision or able to see what happened in your life, right? Not able to acknowledge it. So when we are able to acknowledge things and move forward, I think things start moving for us.
Yeah, I love Louise Hay too. I mean, I don't remember what she said about dry eyes, but it's so on spot so many times about the conditions, like the emotional that we are in. Yeah. So what would be, maybe share a little bit about your protocol, because you talked about emotions and stress and gut health, but like, what are you, when somebody works with you, what is like, is it like different, or do you have a step-by-step system? Like, what is the first thing that people need to do in order to start this journey of healing?
Yeah, absolutely. There is a protocol, and that's why I call it a complete autoimmune reset protocol. And I also have a gut health program, which is a gut health protocol. And in the autoimmune protocol, both are combined. So the autoimmune protocol is, of course, I have a protocol because I work on the mind, body, and the spirit. And so the first thing that I always work with my clients is on healing mindset, because most of us in this world believe that we cannot heal. And we wait. And I've seen so many women who have the health issues going on with them, but then they are like waiting for a diagnosis. So according to me, diagnosis is just a name for my disease. I still have the disease, even if I don't get a diagnosis, right? So they are still waiting on the diagnosis to decide whether they should be starting to take care of their health or not. So that is one thing. And then most of us, because of the kind of conditioning we have from the media, from the medical system and everything, is that we cannot heal. And especially for an autoimmune disorder, we are told that, there's no cure. You cannot heal, and this is how you have to be for your whole life. All we can do is manage your symptoms, and that's about it. And so that kind of, when we listen to these things, we already have that mindset that we cannot heal, and then we kind of take it into our subconscious and believe that, no, there's no way I can heal. And sometimes we don't even know it. So we work on the healing mindset in the protocol. Then we work on the gut health, the nutrition, and then we also work on the stress and emotions, and then removing all the toxins in life, right? So there are so many toxins that we have all around us, at least reducing them, but they come from every source. They come from air, they come from the water, they come from the food, they also come from the products we apply on our skin. So reducing every source of toxin is very, very important. And then also getting a little spiritual, right? Because we all need to be spiritual and have that connection to the higher power. And even if you don't believe in God, that you don't have to be believing in God to be spiritual, because we need to have a connection with that higher power, with our own higher self, to actually be happy in life and to be in that state, in that vibration, which actually starts healing our body.
I love that. I mean, it's, when I first thought about this, I was like, oh, this is so woo-woo, but it's so true, because you're in that vibration of healing. And, now the studies with water and plants and, all these studies that have been done to really visually show the difference of negative toxic vibrations or EMFs or whatever it is, or even music, right? The water, I forgot the guy's name who did those studies with the water crystals, how they look like.
A Japanese scientist, right?
Right. And
yeah. I don't remember the name too, sorry.
So is there anything from all the protocols that you shared, is there anything where you feel like, or maybe with your own journey, where you felt like that was the biggest impact when you did it, where you felt your dry eye was suddenly you see a marked difference? Because let me backtrack a little bit. A lot of times when we want to make health changes or positive changes in our life, right, regarding health, let's say, it's like, unless you had very severe pain and you had very severe symptoms, and it's like, I always say the tooth that really hurts, right? You don't wait, you do something about it. But other times it's like, oh, it's not that important, I put it on the back burner, I can do it later, or we want that Band-Aid, we want that quick fix, instead of addressing the root cause, which I'm all about, just like you. But is there one thing where you felt like that was the biggest needle mover? Because, like maybe, most of us, unless we see some positive change, if you do a new habit or you do something for like, a couple of weeks and nothing changes, nothing looks different, it's sometimes really challenging to stay on track, right? So is there anything that you found was like, you felt like the biggest change in your condition, and especially with the dry eyes?
Yeah. So what I would like to tell all the viewers is that whenever you have any health issue going on with you, it is a call from your body, and it's a whisper from your body that you need to slow down and look into what you're doing wrong. So that is what helps me a lot. So I have to slow down whenever I get a dry eye or the dry mouth or the joint pains. I still get a nick of a pain here and there, and that kind of slows me down immediately, because it is, and now that's how my feedback loop is built, because I have done that whenever I get this thing, I slow down and I'm like, there's something that I'm not doing right and I need to look into that. And it has to do with food, it has to do with stress, it also has to do with my lifestyle. So I have to reset everything. And that is what really helps me. So there are times when I have been like binging on bread, and a few days later I find I have dry eyes, and I'm like, okay, slow down. I did not do this right. And I need to correct this. I need to be eating more fresh fruits and vegetables, because that works for me better. So that is really what works for me, to slow down, look into what is the things that I did too much that harmed me, and then correct it and do some course correction at that point, along with all the other things.
Do you journal? Because I'm working on my gut health right now to improve, and I'm doing a food journal, but I've done it for a couple of weeks, and then it was challenging, the holidays and Thanksgiving, and but it's easy to forget, right? Like sometimes you're like, oh, my eyes feel really dry, or my belly hurts. I'm like, what did I eat? Like, and it's sometimes hard. So do you recommend that people journal like what their feelings and their food, and like what else they're doing, so that they can get a sense of finding a pattern of what is harming them? Or how do you
journaling is a really good practice with food and with emotions too. So when you write down especially your emotions, sorry, I didn't want to digress, but I just wanted to talk about this, that when you write down your emotions, you're releasing them. So that's a way of processing them really, and understanding what is going on in your head, because emotions are energy in motion, and they help you understand the energy and then let it go. And then also coming back to the topic of food, yes, absolutely. Food diaries are very helpful because they help you go down maybe like 10 days ago. What did I do? What did I eat? How did I feel? And it's very important to have a food journal. I don't have a food journal now. I used to have it, but I'm kind of used to this now. So, but having a food journal is a really good practice.
Yeah, and I think I agree with what you said about the reset, right? You don't have to do that for the rest of your life. But if you have new symptoms, or you want to start addressing something, like really logging what you're doing. And that's what I recommend in my programs too. It's like really getting a sense of also what makes a big difference. And sometimes we don't always realize how far we've come and how many changes we've made, because sometimes they're very gradual. They're not like always that big, change. And then it's easy to forget. So let me look if there's other questions. So Karen is asking, to apply the oils around the eyes, does that include both on the eyelid and beneath it?
That is correct, yes. All around the eye.
Okay. Let's see. I don't have any other questions on YouTube, but this is really fascinating. And I love how this ties in with everything really holistic or systemic, right? We have the topical applications, and like, actually, I want to ask you a little bit about that eye drops, because my personal take is that eye drops are just a Band-Aid, and they actually make tear production even more, like reduce the tear production even more, because now your eyes, your body doesn't need to produce tears if that's the artificial tears. And most of these eye drops have lots of preservatives and all kinds of bad stuff in them. But what is your take on, when you have that severe dry eye, what is your take on did you take eye drops, and did you slowly wean yourself off, or what was your journey with eye drops?
I did use eye drops, but I used Ayurvedic eye drops. I do not use the Restasis and all those, because no matter how much they say, they do have preservatives in them, and that actually causes more harm than good. And as you said, if we put the eye drops in our eyes, there's a negative feedback loop in our body. So if there is already enough water in the eyes, even if it is from the eye drops, then our eyes will stop producing, because they have a negative feedback loop, and they'll be like, we don't need to produce anymore.
So how did that process work? Because here's my take. I always say you don't want the eyes to get so dry, because you had corneal ulcers. People can get corneal scratches, so there could be, severe consequences. So it's not about, oh, I'm going to throw all my eye drops out and hope for the best. So it's really important to make sure that you slowly wean yourself off, and take homeopathic or Ayurvedic eye drops that don't have preservatives. But how did you have a specific protocol of like how you weaned yourself off the eye drops to the point where you don't need them anymore? Or is that more like
for me, I did not see. For me, the thing was, I did not have consistent dry eyes. They used to come and go. Okay. And so it was easy for me. But even for those who have consistent dry eyes, it's a great idea to start moisturizing with the oils that I said, and use the drops as needed, but then slowly wean off them. So, and you will start noticing that your eyes are more moisturized anyway, so you will need them less.
Okay, and are the Ayurvedic eye drops that you mentioned something that people can buy, or is that something that you mix yourself, or?
I don't mix them. I don't mix it myself, but you can get it off of Amazon. If you look for Ayurvedic eye drops, you'll find some.
And I know Ayurveda has this thing with the butter where you make that little, I don't know what it's called, but you make a little edge. And then I guess
it's called Hasti.
What is it called?
Hasti.
Hasti.
Yeah, Bhasti means that it's kind of like for moisturizing a particular area. So they do it for the neck. They also do it for areas in your body which are aching. So if you have like lower backache, they do that. So it's like a mold that they have, and in which they put the I think the dough, wheat flour dough, and then put the hot oil, sesame oil in it, and that moisturizes, along with some herbs also depending on your body type, and that moisturizes the eyes. And that's a great idea. I've never thought of that, but that's something that can be, if you can find a good Ayurvedic practitioner near you, that can help with the dry eyes too.
Oh, I thought they used ghee, but it's definitely like warm, probably not hot on the eyes.
No.
And you have the eyes closed. I've never had that treatment done, but we had an Ayurvedic practitioner on here like last year or so, and I remember she talked about that. So that's really, really awesome. Thank you. And I'm looking if there's more questions. I don't see any more questions on YouTube. Let me see if there's any questions here on Zoom. I don't really see any. Yeah, somebody was asking about the second oil other than the lavender. Maybe you can put that in the chat, or maybe somebody else put that in the chat. I don't know how to spell that. Oh yeah, here we go. I'm going to put it on the YouTube chat too, so that people can have it on YouTube. Okay, I mean, I don't have any more questions, and we have our little separate chat here on Zoom with the Clear Vision Club members. So if YouTube doesn't have any more questions, then we will close the live stream. I'm just looking over to my second screen to make sure that we have that there's no more questions. But is there anything else that you want to share? Like I think you have a little program that you created. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I created a kind of like a fast track dry eye program. It's called Dry Eye Be Gone. And I talk about how to get dry eye relief. And there are some other oils also that I mentioned in the program. And for all those who are watching right now, if you want to get discount just for being Claudia's audience, you will get a $10 discount, and that the value of the program is $27. Sorry, $37, $27 after the $10 discount. And the link, I have already shared it in the chat. Do you want me to share it again, Claudia?
Yeah, you can share it again, and I put it on YouTube. So, and is that like tell us a little bit more about that. Is that a live workshop that you're doing, or?
Yes, yes, it is. Thanks for reminding me, but it is first ever live program that I'm doing. I haven't done that. I only do it in my one-on-one coaching with my clients. So this is the first time that I'm doing it live and on Zoom. So if you have any questions, you can submit that in advance, send it to my email. And I also typed my email over here. And so that you can have all the questions submitted to me, and I will answer them after we do the workshop and, help you out with that.
That sounds awesome. So this is a one-time opportunity to work with you on the dry eye outside of your complete program. And what is the date of your workshop? So for those of you that, can attend live, but I'm assuming you're doing a recording. So if somebody who cannot attend live will also get access to the recording, or can submit a question ahead of time that you can answer. When are you doing it live? What's the date?
So I'll be doing it next Wednesdays. I think it's the 14th of December. It'll be done on Zoom, so you can be anywhere in the world and attend it. And if you're not able to attend it, you will get once you are enrolled in the program, you will get the recording for it. Okay, great. And what time is it? It is 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. Central, so that's 2 hours earlier than Clear Vision Wednesday. So you could do awesome. I put that in the chat. There's a question: does the treatment depend on the cause of one's dry eye? So that Michael is asking, does the treatment depend on the cause of one's dry eye? Because you mentioned that a little bit earlier. Could be Sjogren's, it could be
hormones. It could be being in an extreme dry climate, or heaters in the winter, or lack of blinking, so it could be a lot of different causes. Do you have the treatment? Is it the same for everybody, or do you have specific protocols?
So in my program, it is specifically for people who have Sjogren's, obviously. But in the program that I'm doing next week, it's a program that will support your dry eyes. Definitely, it is very important to look at the cause of what is causing your dry eye. And many times our body is able to adapt to the new situation. So for example, I've been to Colorado, and I know that it's a very, very dry place. So when we go there, I get very dry nose because I already have a tendency to get dryness. And I've heard that from many people but our body has the ability to adapt to a new situation. So if I'm there for like 15 days, after that, my body will start adapting to it. It'll start producing the oils and the moisture that is needed according to that environment. So most of the times our body is able to adapt. But if it's not doing it, that means that your body needs extra support and extra help from a lifestyle point of view.
That's a really good point, because I know when I go to the desert, I live in Los Angeles, and if I go to like Joshua Tree or something, initially like my lips, everything is super dry, but if I stay there for a little longer, I get used to that. But it's sometimes that sudden switch. So thank you. I don't see any Michael has another question, or the reaction to my glaucoma drops. I know you're not an expert, you're not an eye doctor, and neither am I. And glaucoma drops is the one time where I would address the root cause of the glaucoma and, work on relaxation, because glaucoma is, especially if it's for high intraocular pressure, that's different than just the dry eye drops. But, that's not something where I would just lightheartedly say, wean yourself off, but it's really important to lower the eye pressure naturally before you can stop taking those drops, for sure.
Yeah, and it's very important to also address the stress, because glaucoma also has a lot of stress also that needs to be addressed, right?
Yeah.
And I think,
there's a question, sorry, from Jean. Can you explain what the Basti oil, what that Ayurvedic, can you explain that a little bit more?
Yeah, it's an Ayurvedic. So I am not an Ayurvedic expert, so I'll just tell you from what I know. So it is, most of the times it is sesame oil, which has been infused with some herbs depending on the body type. So in Ayurveda, we have 3 body types. One is Pitta, which is fire body type, and then Kapha, which means it has a lot of stagnant energy of the earth and the water. And then it is Vata, which is air. So if the body type is air, there'll be herbs according to that, which will be infused in the sesame oil. If it is Pitta body type, then it'll be the herbs will be according to that body type. And I'm not sure what they are, because I'm not an expert, as I said. But but that oil is infused with these herbs, and then that is applied. So there's a compartment that is made around the eyes. So if the bhasti is being done for the eyes, there'll be like a compartment that will be made with the help of dough, which keeps the oil together in that same place. And then the oil is poured onto the eyes, and it is kept there for a few minutes before it's removed and wiped out.
So I found an image, and I can maybe really quickly share my screen. This is a specific website that I'm not associated with, but maybe that's helpful for everybody just to see, because I think it's hard to imagine. So this is a website for, again, I'm not associated, I just literally Googled this, but basically you see this kind of ring of dough around the eye. And I think you can do both eyes at the same time. And then the warm sesame oil is poured into that area. So that's basically what this is. Right. And you can do it on different body parts. But yeah, I just wanted to make sure it's hard to imagine.
It's very good for pain management. So if you have like pain in the lower back or pain in the arms or anywhere in the knees, so bhasti can be done for that particular body part as well. Again, depending on your body type.
Great. Well, thank you so much. I don't see any other questions. Do you, would you like to share any kind of final closing words about, like maybe, I think it's important to talk about that emotional aspect, because it can feel like it can be so hard to get that diagnosis and, hear from doctors all the time, you just manage your symptoms and which doesn't sound sometimes, if they're really severe, to, be even worse. Like, what does that mean? Anything you want to add on that kind of mindset level?
Yeah, so I definitely do want to add. So I see, this is the thing, the human body has the capability of healing all by itself. So there's a website called Rebuilding My Health, which is done by a lady who shares success stories of people who have autoimmune disorders of different kinds. And they have been able to reverse their disorders, autoimmune disorders, celiacs, psoriasis, so many different variety of people there who all have been able to come out of that all by themselves just by changing their lifestyle. And that is a testimony that our bodies have the capability to heal themselves no matter what you're told in the world. The medical system is based on fear. Unfortunately, it is based on fear that if you don't do this treatment, then you're going to die. If you don't do that treatment, then this is what is a consequence that you'll have to face, which is, the very fact that it is driven by fear repulses me. But when we give our body the right kind of conditions, the right lifestyle, the right food, the right nutrition, and we manage stress better, we take care of our emotions, everything falls in place and our body starts to heal itself from the inside. Everything starts happening inside. And that is because in that state, our body is in the parasympathetic nervous system mode, where our body knows that it has to relax, it has to restore, repair, and do everything that it needs to do, which it does not do when we are in the fight and flight mode. So our bodies are designed to heal. So there's no way we cannot heal. And go look at that website. That'll be a great testimony for everyone to, believe that our bodies can heal.
Can you give the name of the website again?
It's called Rebuilding My Health. And I think Trisha typed it in the chat as well.
Rebuilding My Health. I'm going to put it on YouTube too. Well, thank you. That was wonderful. And I think like sometimes having a metaphor, sorry, I'm just putting into YouTube here, having a metaphor for, basically saying, it's like a garden, right? If you fertilize your garden and you put all the good things in there and the sunshine and the water and the love, then, it will flourish and heal and everything. But if there's all the negativity and the bad soil and all the, the bad gut health and the inflammation, then yes, we will be suffering. And it's so true. The medical system is built on fear and not on hope. And it's, there's probably many reasons for that, but I think it's so important to surround yourself with people like you and other coaches or people that can, that believe in the same mission and are not just dismissive of like, oh, that's what are you thinking?
I mean, look at the work you are doing. You're doing the same thing, right?
Right.
I did not know this 2 years from now that I can heal my eyesight, but now, you are like a ray of light, hope for me too, that, oh, well, I can heal my eyesight.
Yeah, and I think that's the important stuff, and there will always be naysayers, but and to me, it's really important to educate yourself, and I think you're the same way, to educate yourself and have all the options and not just fall into the like, oh, all the traditional doctors are really horrible people and all the holistic ones are into, because I think it's oftentimes a combination of both treatments, because the Western medical system is definitely helpful in emergencies and surgeries like that.
It has its place, definitely.
Right.
And it's not, and when I say that is the problem with the system, that it's based on fear, I mean the system, and I'm not talking about the doctors individually.
Right.
You can have a great person and individual as a doctor, but they cannot do anything under the system. So that's just the way it works.
Well, thank you so much for being here. That was wonderful. And we will continue our discussion here on Zoom for a little bit longer, and YouTube. We're saying goodbye to YouTube now. I will see you next week, and there will be further education on dry eyes. So stay tuned for next Clear Vision Wednesday. And if that sounds like something you want, if you have dry eyes, I encourage you to attend Divya's workshop. Sign up for that. You get the special discount as a Clear Vision Club or as a Clear Vision Wednesday viewer. And that's next Wednesday, December 14th. So you could do a double. You could do a workshop and then do my Clear Vision Wednesday show afterwards as well. All right. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.